Good evening, everyone. Lisa here, coming to you from the Mars Hill Art Center, aka Chateau de Mars Hill Studios. And in honor of Women's History Month, we are talking to some amazing women in Indiana who are doing some great things and making history right now. Yes, there are a lot of women in our history that we look to and we listen to and we want to emulate and we follow. But there are also some amazing women in Indianapolis who are doing some really great things right now. And so that's what we're talking about for the month of March here on Do Something Indie. So I want to introduce to you my friend, Haley Lawrence. Haley is going to join us. John, producer, please bring her on. There she is.
Hey.
Hi, Haley.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. So before I ask you to tell us about you, I am trying to remember exactly how we met. Was it through one of your storytelling events?
Actually, it was. You came to visit. I was at the Dugout Bar with VoiceBox Indie,
Yeah.
and you and John came, and you actually got to see Sonal, I believe, one of my storytellers.
Yes.
Sonal Chefswari, and you two got up and did open mic.
We sure did. So I'm going to have to message Sonal because I totally forgot that was how we met. I remember now we were there to support her. And yeah, so it just turned into I think a really great meeting because we've been to a couple of those events for you now and been able to follow everything that you're doing. So with that said, tell us about Haley.
Oh, well, it's so nice to see you again, and you and John. And it's such a small world. I think that when I saw you guys, and then I found out that John actually went to my sister high school, and we actually had a lot of people in common. It was really nice.
Yeah.
I think you remember I've been back in Indianapolis. I think it's, gosh, 7 years now, and
Wow.
we came here from London. So I've been really excited to jump into the scene in Indianapolis and really support other women. Been coaching for a long time, and I primarily like to focus on creative people who are really passionate about having a platform, having their voice heard, and playing a bigger game. And I don't really know how I got into storytelling because I mean, my background is acting, but I really don't do a lot of storytelling myself. I really produce the shows. And it's a step out of my comfort zone to actually do storytelling. So I've been dipping my feet in as well occasionally. But I had the opportunity, I heard about Listen to Your Mother. And Listen to Your Mother is a national charitable show started by Ann Immig. And she took it around the United States and raised money for local charities. So I was able to get the license rights to the show here in Indianapolis. So this is my 4th year doing Listen to Your Mother.
Wow. So tell us about some previous shows.
Okay, so the first show was at the Indie Fringe, and I was raising money for Pass the Torch for Women Foundation. Which is a fantastic organization.
It absolutely is. I'm very familiar with Pass the Torch. Any of you out there, we'll actually put a link in the comments later, but it is an amazing organization.
Absolutely. In fact, I supported them twice. So the first year I did Pass the Torch at Indie Fringe, and I think we raised. It was my very first show. We had 2 sold out shows. It was an amazing experience. Pauline who's now at the district, was so helpful and so supportive. And I've never done any producing or putting on any shows, and it was such a success. And one of the ways I raise money is I get sponsorship for the show, and I do raffles. So I try to support women-owned businesses or anything that I feel the community really wants to support. So Pass the Torch was the first year. The second year, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So Deb Hallberg, who's the CEO of Pass the Torch for Women Foundation, asked me if I would do the show virtually. And I was like, oh, so I talked about it, and I had a producer, Paul Nethercutt, who helped me with the show, and a young guy, Bailey, who was at Carmel High School senior. And we did a virtual show, and we did it more like a film. It was fantastic. It was beautiful. And we raised, I think, about $2,000 for Pass the Torch that year.
Yeah.
And so it was very exciting. But doing a virtual show is not the same, and the cast
No.
really didn't get a chance. Some of the cast members never got to meet each other, so they didn't have that community. And one of the things about Listen to Your Mother, I want to touch on is that it's anyone can be and listen to their mother as long as they have had a mother. So we look for, I in particular look for diversity of cast, diversity of stories. And, eh, it's really important that all voices are heard and everyone has an opportunity to share something that is important to them. So they're funny, they're sad, they are moving. They're just a variety of stories.
So
Because
give us an idea of what these stories sound like. Are they speaking from the heart of being a mom or talking about their mom? What could we possibly hear at this show?
at the newest one, I haven't had auditions yet. Saturday is my audition day. But before I go to that, which I'll tell you one more thing, I just want to tell you about last year's show before, because this is our fourth year. The third
Yeah.
year was at the District Theater, again, COVID. So it was outdoors at a small theater with Pauline at the District Theater. And we raised, I think, 3,400, 3,500 for Project Leah.
Oh wow.
And Project Leah is down by off Mass Ave in that vicinity, and we raised money to help some women who are coming out of prison and teaching them skills. So they were learning how to sew from a
Wow.
singer sewing course. So it was amazing, and we were so blessed. And that's another great organization, Project Leah.
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah,
love that you're taking this and using it in a way to give back, which truly is, one of my next questions is what does Listen to Your Mother or any of these storytelling events to you? How do you feel those impact a community? Obviously, you just shared these impact in a financial way, but how else do you feel these impact a community?
well, I think it depends on where the show is. I'll give you an example. The fourth show this year, we're going to be at uh, Arts for Lawrence, the theater at the Fort.
Yeah,
And so and the group that we're sponsoring this year, Sir Optimus Metro, which is working with young girls and women in their community. So
yeah,
I'm not positive yet exactly what we're supporting. We either might be doing some women who are going back to college, the local women, and giving them a grant. There's also a group out of Lawrence North High School gyms, Girls Empowered and Motivated to Succeed, taking them on a trip and some honors programs. We've got quite a bit that we'll be working specifically towards.
yeah.
And the show itself is, it's you haven't seen it, so hopefully
No,
this
but
year.
I've heard so much about it.
Okay, let me give you a few examples of some of
Yeah.
the stories. The very first show, there's a woman who was in the show, Noelle, and she she had been an egg donor 11 times, and her story was really impactful. But she's a great speaker as well. She's an actress, and it was such a great story. So you have stories of, it's like egg donor. She's not a mother, has no interest in becoming a mother, but helps other people. Um, another woman
Wow.
another woman, Pauline, her story was, she based it on a poem. I want to say it's 4 years ago, to Venice and back. Oh no, and her daughter was born with no eyes. So
Oh,
she
wow.
talks about the journey of having a child when you thought you were going on a trip. That was the story. A trip, and you plan all the itinerary, you plan everything, it's all lined up, and then you go to your trip and you end up not where you thought you were going, you end up somewhere else.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
yeah. So the stories vary. Every show, every year is totally different.
Yeah,
The virtual show, I had Manon, does spoken word here in Indianapolis,
yeah.
and I had a singer, Allison Victoria, who sang as well.
She's amazing.
She
So we've
is.
we've been to many events with her, and she's amazing.
She is, absolutely. I haven't spoken to her since, but I'll probably have a singer. I'm thinking that I have a singer for uh, the voice box, so I might eh, see how that works this year as well.
Yeah,
Last year's show, I had 2 people who sang in their song, in their story, because you can do spoken word, you can do song.
yeah,
It's just, it's a show, it's a performance as
yeah,
well. I mean, the stories do not have to be memorized. We allow them the opportunity to read them if they want, because I do not require you to be polished. It doesn't have to be, um, you don't have to be a public speaker.
yeah. I love that too because so many people have a story to share.
Mm,
They just don't have that expertise or that experience in front of a group of people and being able to memorize a speech
mhm.
and all that, and that gives them the opportunity to be able to share their story the way they truly want to share it and to have those notes right there. So, what inspired you to do this, Haley?
Um, I'm not really sure per se. I've always liked working. I'm a mom, so I think the idea of listening to your mother uh, motivated me as a having children later in life. I really like supporting other women, and I like community. And I felt bringing people together, being able to share their stories, letting their voice be heard, it is a way something I'm passionate about. And it's a way that I too can meet people and form a community.
Yeah. So, have you been able to do much of your coaching business in the last few years since you've been back?
I've still always had a small practice.
Yeah.
I did a workshop, a women's group, Fearless Over 50, which was I did a pilot show, and I'm going to work on doing some more of that. I really like group coaching.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. I love it. Well, I know that John and I both are just so grateful to have met you. We've been able to cross paths in a lot of other ways outside of VoiceBox Indie, which has been so amazing. So, if I had to ask you what you think the phrase do something indie means to you, what would that be?
it's so funny because I have VoiceBox Indie, I'm kind of changing the name to Listen Indie. Do something indie to me is not just being a spectator, it's being a participant.
Yeah.
And that's the same with life. You can sit back and talk about helping other people, or you can actually do something about it.
I want to steal that from you. Yeah, I love that so much. So that's what I see in you. That's what John and I both saw in you from the beginning, and we just really appreciate everything that you're doing in so many different venues. And I said in my little video yesterday to kind of set this up on social media, you're kind of like a woman after my own heart. You're involved in a lot of different things, and I am too. And that's kind of how I like it, you know.
Mhm.
But the things you're doing are just so meaningful and so helpful to other women. So, given that it's Women's History Month, what advice would you give to a young woman or a woman at any age who is wanting to do their own thing or is wanting to tell their story or, just doesn't know what to do next?
It's so funny. It's right now with Women's History, Black History Month. I think one of the things that I would recommend younger women to do is look at history. Look at the women who have made it in spite of the hardships and the difficulties. There's an amazing book out, and there's a couple of different books that talk about some of the women who were so amazing. Some of the ones were Black History Month when I was looking at that created, designed, invented, got no credit for it
Yeah,
whatsoever until later in life, and that you can't let people keep you back. You can't let setbacks keep you back.
yeah,
And it's really important to follow your dream. I mean, my company is called the Fearless Leap,
yeah,
and it's not just about being fearless. It's also about being fearless. You're always going to have fear. It's what you do with it. You can use it to motivate you and to propel you forward. And sometimes that leap is just a baby step.
Yeah.
I've I've got a picture. I don't know if it's on my which one of my sites, but it's a little girl, and it's going to be on a little girl on the end of a bench, and there's a little paddling pool, and she's thinking about jumping off into that little paddling pool. To that little child, that's a big leap.
Yeah.
Jumping off a diving, anything like that. What's a leap to someone? To me, may not be a leap to you. Yours, it might be a piece of cake, a walk in the park.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to, find a mentor, find someone to support you. There are coaching groups, there's masterminds, and it's just having a community of people who believe in you, who support you, who have your back.
Absolutely. So I firmly believe in mentoring, and that can happen at any stage in life. It doesn't have to be a mentor that is seasoned and a mentee that is a young person.
Mhm.
It can be the other way around. I know I've received mentoring from young people
Mhm.
a lot over the years, and I've learned so much from my younger peers. They have a lot of knowledge we can garner a lot of wisdom from.
No
So
kidding.
yeah, I love that so much, and I just love everything that you're doing. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed, and that we can share this story too. So the Fearless Leap is your coaching business. You have VoiceBox Indie under that. You're doing the is it
Listen to your mother.
monthly storytelling events under VoiceBox Indie?
Mhm.
Okay. And we'll post all of this in our comments too, so we can get the word out for you. But then also, can people still audition for Listen to Your Mother?
Yes, absolutely. The auditions are this Saturday from 12 to 4. And it's on Sign Up Genius. But I also have some people who are sending a video. I have one person who's auditioning tomorrow on Zoom with me.
Yeah.
And I have a few days of grace to allow people who haven't been able to sign up or aren't quite ready.
Yeah.
So I'm actually not posting the results until sometime, probably Monday or Tuesday or sometime next week.
And what day is the event?
The event is May 7th at
Yeah.
7:30 PM. It's a Saturday show, so I'm still looking for a title sponsor and sponsors. I start working on that very soon. And we have the people who are going to be in the cast. We have our photo shoot, and I do a lot of publicity for them. I like to promote the people that are in the cast. So if they've written a book or if they have anything that they would like to share, I'd like to
Yeah.
promote them.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll get all of that posted in the comments as well after the show. So
Oh, thank you.
anyone that's watching can go out and look up that information, maybe sign up to audition, follow you on VoiceBox Indie, and all of the things. So, Haley, one final opportunity to share words of wisdom or something that you want people to know, either about you or the things you're working on.
Um, I think probably the one thing I would like to say is that confidence comes from stepping out of your comfort zone. And I I have spent my whole life doing things out of my comfort zone, and it definitely does help for confidence. If you are ever interested, is maybe on your bucket list is public speaking or trying something new. This is a perfect opportunity. VoiceBox Indie, which I think I'm going to change the name to Listen Indie, uh, is an opportunity in a really safe, warm, supportive environment. And the people get up in the audience and speak from their heart, and it's so powerful. And no one feels uncomfortable that they don't have any experience. And the same with Listen to Your Mother. Listen to Your Mother is a welcoming event, but it gives people an opportunity to sometimes release emotions that are holding them back. So some of the people who've auditioned in the past, the actual act of writing their audition piece was enough for them.
Yeah.
It released so much pain that it's amazing. Been in the auditions and just I've cried with the people and incredibly moving. I'm so grateful and blessed that people share and feel that they can share something that can be really difficult.
Yeah. I love that so much. You're giving people so many opportunities to be vulnerable and
Mhm.
to share their stories and to have that release, if you will.
Mhm.
I mean, I know what that feels like. And John and I have been part of your Voice Fox Indie
Mhm.
event, and um,
And I
yeah,
saw
it
your
just
name, Lisa, on the audition for this weekend.
yeah, I know. So yeah, so I'm gonna audition for the Listen to Your Mother too, and so public speaking is something that I never really did, even though kind of by default as an HR executive, I had to
Mhm.
speak in front of a lot of people. But it wasn't until I left my corporate job that I actually stepped out and started doing some of that. And to be able to share a personal story that is either tragic or emotional or um, maybe something you've held pent up for a lot of
Mhm.
years can be a very cathartic experience. And it also can speak to someone in the audience who may have a connection or may have a similar story that helps them realize, hey, I'm not alone.
Mhm.
And I can maybe share my story at some point in the future too. So I think it's a great thing. I just love everything that you're doing. I think it gives so many people an opportunity to step out into new territory
Mhm.
and maybe get their story out and like you said, have that emotional release all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a storyteller when I'm in my first show, and it was her first time writing, and she was absolutely amazing. And she's now a blogger, and
Oh,
she actually had her piece picked up from the Washington Post.
wow.
So it can lead to other things. People find a
Yeah.
passion they didn't know they had. And I think one of the taglines for Listen to Your Mother is it helping people feel more understood. They're
Mm,
not alone
yeah.
because someone has something similar and they survived and they just a little more understood and not so alone is what we're going for. It's the goal.
Yeah, I love it so much. Well, and the other thing too, I'll add is that you're taking an opportunity to give back to other
Mhm.
organizations that are trying to do so much good work in our community in the process. So partnering with those agencies to give back through your events is such an amazing thing, and that's part of Do Something Indie too. So we appreciate you so much for
Yeah.
that.
Well, thank you. I so appreciate you inviting me on.
You're
And you
so
guys are
welcome.
doing a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
really
so
great
good to
things.
see you. So good to have you. Okay, so when we wrap this up, we'll get all the links put out there. Haley, share all of this stuff with all of the people that you know. We hope you get more folks signed up to audition, and we just appreciate you having you on and all the things you're doing. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, John, somewhere
Yeah,
out there in the,
producer John, thank
yes,
you.
yes, thank
Thank you for living out Do Something Indie, Haley. We appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you as well.
Bye.
Thanks.